Djibouti, ancient, wild, barren, and our first taste of Africa. The whole point of this sailing life is to go where you cannot normally go, and to see what lies beyond the secure mesh of the tourism net. We certainly had that experience here. Welcome to Djibouti.
This is us. This is what we do. And this is where we've done it so far.
When we sail, we are sometimes alone, and that is a great experience. Very often, we are with others because sometimes it's not safe or sensible for travel alone. So we gather together in small groups that are part of a huge family, the cruising community. One of the great things for us is when we can relax together and share some food, drink, and stories of our experience. In Djibouti, we had a get-together on CathayOz to celebrate crossing the Indian Ocean and the Gulf of Aden. Well, it's more of a party really. Friends from Holland, Britain, the USA, and Australia joined us for a potluck dinner and the music and just playing, having a good time. The cruising life is not always easy, so it's great to have a chance to let go and enjoy the good times.
Yeah, all that stuff. No, not doing that no more. Yeah. Well, we're in Djibouti, and the first thing that most people are going to say is, where? So Djibouti is this little tiny country, which is more of a city-state really, and it's nestled in the corner of the Horn of Africa. It's a very strategic place because in one direction is the Gulf of Aden, and the other direction is the Red Sea. And of course all the shipping of the world travels through this area. It has become important in recent times, maybe the last 15-20 years, because it was the only really safe place or stable place where people could base security forces to protect the shipping in the Gulf of Aden from Somali pirates particularly. As a consequence, there's a lot of infrastructure here around military presence from countries like the US and China and France and Italy and many others, Turkey included. So these days the pirates are pretty much quashed, but the military presence is still here. I'll leave that to you to look into it more if you're really interested in seeing what that means for this country. From our point of view, we want to have a look. This is the first time we've been to anywhere in Africa, and we want to see what it's like. We want to know what the people do. We want to understand how they live and what's interesting to them and what's important to them. So we're going to take a land tour into the interior of the country and see what it's about. So hopefully you'll come along and enjoy it as well. US dollars. The city of Djibouti sprawls from the well-to-do areas in the northeast to the industrial mess of the west. In between, ordinary Djiboutians live a mostly urban life amongst barely functioning infrastructure that has to bear the burden of not only its own needs, but also to a large degree the needs of Ethiopia, which is now landlocked and depends on the port of Djibouti, as well as the road and rail network, to supply itself. In return, Ethiopia provides fresh produce to Djibouti, whose lands just don't support agriculture. In amongst all this is a large and diverse military community that needs housing and other facilities to meet its varying standards. So on the one hand, you can walk into a modern and well-equipped shopping mall with better supermarkets than we've seen since we left Australia, and on the other are the dusty, dirty produce markets and unrefrigerated meat and fish markets that we have become used to on our travels.
For us, though, we want to get out of the city and see what the country looks like. We are going on a tour to see the inland of this country. When we left the dock, our transport was waiting. Somehow, 10 Yotis, a driver, and a tour guide are expected to fit in this thing and drive around for 2 days. Oh boy.
what looks and feels very much like rock, solid rock.
It's like a concrete.
It is, but this is in fact salt. And that is a salt lake. Now this spot is 155 metres below sea level. Interesting.
Kira-kira, kasahod hay sa tao. Ay. Kira.
It's a camel crash.
The accommodation was basic, but we are way up in the mountain, far away from anything really.
Dinner time here is a shared family affair. It's 6:30 a.m. I'm just looking out from our little cabin that's just like that one, and it's pouring. This could change some things today because we're supposed to be going on a hike into the mountains a bit, but looking around here, I don't think so. And also, when we came up here, it was on some very rough and very steep four-wheel drive tracks in the trusty troop carrier. But if this rains much more, I'm wondering how we're going to get back. So that'll be interesting.
We soon got the answer to that question. We walk. And then we kept on walking.
A day forest walk. Eventually, wet through and very tired, we came onto a very small village. The difference in the lives of the country people compared to their city cousins is immense.
Our guide had brought lunch from the camp, and we ate this in the local style.
So So we've walked about 6 or 7 kilometres from that direction up there through the canyons and through the rain. It's been pretty interesting. And we're just in this village now that you can see sort of panning around behind me. I guess you don't want to sound too corny about this, but the place is amazing. It really is. I mean, there's nothing that looks like real infrastructure, but it's a village and people are living here and the kids are playing soccer. The hills look amazing, of course, behind us, but nothing is what you'd call nice. But people live here and they spend their lives here, and this is what they do, just exist with their donkeys and goats. No chickens. We saw no chickens. So I'm really pleased we came to have a look at this. I don't think I'm going to get too many opportunities in this life to see these sorts of things. So it's good. I'm enjoying it. Lots of exercise to do now.
Okay, let me have this video.
Okay, tell me your destination. Over.
Our destination is Suakin, Sudan. Over.
Okay, tell me your total crew members. Over.
Total crew are 2, captain and 1 crew. Over.
Okay, tell me your ETA to Port Sudan.
ETA Port Sudan is 1800 hours on Sunday.
Okay, thank you for your coordination. Close for you. Go back to 160.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much. We enjoyed our visit to Djibouti. Farewell. We're underway again. Yeah. So we've left Djibouti just after lunch, trying to get some timings right. And now we're going to try and battle our way up to Sudan, which is halfway, or Suakin in Sudan, which is halfway up the Red Sea. There's no good news on a wind front. We might have a little bit of wind for a couple of days, but then we're going to motor. And we're hoping that we can get there without too much fuss. It's going to take us a good 6 days or something, and it's going to use a huge amount of fuel. One of the things we have to do late tonight, early tomorrow morning, is go through a very narrow part of the Red Sea called Bar el Mandab, the Gate of Tears. Now, how promising is that? The Gate of Tears. It's a weather acceleration zone. So the weather comes down the Gulf of Aden, round the corner, goes through this Bar el Mandab, and accelerates like crazy, sometimes 30, 40 knots, and then slowly dissipates as it goes up the Red Sea and finally meets the northerlies that are coming halfway down the Red Sea. So we're going to hit that about 1 o'clock tonight. Shouldn't be too much wind then, but later in the morning we'll get a fair bit of wind after that, so we'll see what happens. When the wind went away, we had a flat calm. That's not very often you get one of these in the middle of the ocean, but we got one in the Red Sea, and it just happened that we also got visited at that time by a pod of dolphins that were like several hundred members strong. This gave us an amazing view of these animals in the water where they seem to be just floating in nothing. If you don't want to watch this, it goes on for about 2 minutes, so you might want to skip ahead, but we've just chucked some music in there so you can have a look at these wonderful animals in about the clearest vision you can get.
how are you?
How are you?
What are you doing here?
Well, we're doing two things. One, we're trying to polish up some of the bright work. We're sitting here at sea, it's flat and we're just motoring, so we may as well do it. At the same time, I get to do a really close inspection of all these rigging items. And here we are, this is the seagull striker, and this is the thing that joins to both booms and has a hump in the middle, and its job is to counteract this way the force of the rig trying to pull it that way and fold the boat up. So we're looking for cracks around, broken strands on this wire, any cracks in the items themselves. And I've actually just got a bit disappointed because this turnbuckle here
Yeah.
says regatta. Who makes that? I don't know.
We
I had this put on 2 years ago.
we replaced that.
We did. It's more or less new. And you can see all this pitting. Probably can't see it in the camera, but little dots everywhere that don't come off from cleaning.
That
So what that is, that's
is from the rust or something.
not from, well, rust is everywhere. But this is actually because the chrome plating on this fitting is just a poor job basically. It's not up to standard because that's not going to last 5 years before it starts to look bad. If it looks bad, it's probably in bad condition as well. Happily, that's the only thing I've found so far. All of our swages and wires and everything so far look good, and that makes me feel good.
All
We like a boat that stays together if we can. So, lovely
Okay.
day to be doing a job like this.
Don't work too hard.
I don't think so. I'm sitting down.
Hi, Captain.
Hello. We're in North Africa. There's a huge amount of dust in the air all the time. And our solar panels absolutely coated with it. And that's going to reduce their effectiveness by a huge percentage. Give it a quick wash and a quick rinse and get back up to peak performance again. Yay! Morning, 10 o'clock on the last morning, the 6th day. So not quite 5 days at sea yet, only a couple of hours. And we are 20 odd miles from the African nation of Sudan. And we're on approach to that place now. Had to wiggle our way through all the reefs. We actually had to go past Sudan, past our entry point and then come back in order to get through the reefs to get into this place. We're going to a place called Suakin, which is an ancient city. Where they used to trade slaves. I don't think she's going to trade me. I don't think they're open anymore.
It's so interesting what to see. What it looks like. It's an ancient city. It's for more than 1,000 years.
Anyway, Suakin is our stop halfway up the Red Sea. We have to stop here, get some provisions, get some fuel. We probably used about 600 litres of fuel mostly motoring all the way up the Red Sea.
Yeah.
That's going to cost a lot of money. But get some stuff and then plan our next escape, which is to get up to Aqaba, which is going to be close to 700 miles this time. Straight up the North Sea again. And this time the winds are guaranteed to be